Hey everyone, you know the drill. On Fridays, we normally dive into Formula One or talk all things racing when there's no F1 action on track. Now, we're going to keep going with the F1 preview show and highlights, guys, for every F1 race weekend. But when we're off and when there isn't no weekend of racing, we're going to be shaking things up here on the Peter Welsh Show. Every Friday when we're off track, we're going to be calling it Fun Friday. So buckle up, lads, because we're going to be talking crap, mixing in some F1, general banter, and of course, with the little cherry on top, the dating advice. Because why not, right? Now, today we're going to keep it short and sweet, but we're going to talk about two things here and go into a little bit more detail than what we normally would on the show. Now let's get things off with a wild one here today. Did you ever wonder how Hollywood really makes its money? How they really keep spinning that wheel and dollars just keep flying out? We're going to tell you in about 4 seconds from now. Plus, we're going to delve into Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari move for next year. Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, he's going to dominate. Are you sure? Are you really, really sure? Because, ladies and gents, spoiler alert, it's not wrapped up in a gold sheet and a gold lollipop for our boy anymore. More like wrapped in a Ferrari's contract with a lot of fine print. Let's get into it. Peter. Let's talk about the Joker movie, guys, and how Hollywood works when it comes to the box office. How do they make their money? This is deep and behind the scenes stuff. The Joker, classic example. It was a revelation, raw, gripping, completely shook the world. It was so dark and intense. It was unreal. It shook Hollywood to its core, basically. People were just like stunned by the movie. Joaquin's performance, he wins the Oscar. Amazing. But fast forward to the sequel, Joker 2, and suddenly box office flop. Disaster, lads. What happened? Well, how did one of the most anticipated films in recent years crash so hard? The answer is more complicated and a lot uglier than most people realize. So here's where Hollywood machinery comes into play, lads. This industry is a game of numbers. Contracts, opening weekends, and not necessarily about the quality of the art. Sure, Joker 1, it was a masterpiece. No two ways about it. But once that movie took off, the producers weren't thinking about storytelling anymore, lads. They were thinking about the bottom line, cash. And that's why Joker 2 was destined to fail from the moment it was green lit. So let's break it down. They produce Joker 1, they sign up Joaquin Phoenix as the actor. And chances are they had an open-end contract with Phoenix. Now, standard practice in Hollywood, lads. If a movie does well, the actor is locked in for a sequel, maybe even a trilogy. Alright? It's a way for studios to hedge their bets and capitalize on the success. Now, after Joker 1 blew up at the box office, the studio realized they had a money-making machine. But here's where it all started to unravel. They didn't care about making the sequel as great as the first. They didn't need to. Now, with Joker 1 making serious waves, Hollywood saw the dollar signs flying right in front of their eyes, lads. and they rushed into Joker with a half-fast, half-wing-and-a-prayer script. They even signed on Lady Gaga before the script was even finished. Now, what does that tell you? Right? Joaquin Phoenix wins the Oscar for Joker 1. And now you're going to put in Lady Gaga, who, she's a pretty good actress, but you're going to put her now in with a huge successful film. Big pressure for Lady Gaga now. And the script's not even finished. And yet, you're putting her in with an Oscar winner. Do you know how crazy that sounds? And it is crazy, lads. And here's why. Joaquin Phoenix starts off with the production company signs up for Joker 1. And then open-ended contract, as we discussed. Open-ended contract. So, hey, Joaquin, if this movie does very, very well, we're going to do a sequel or possibly even a trilogy. Now, Joker 1 does very well. They call him, hey, Joaquin, buddy, we're on the bat line here. We need you to come back in and, we're gonna get Joker 2 ready here to go, pal. Joaquin was probably saying, well, do you have a script? No, not yet, but we're putting something together. Problem is, he's tied into a bit of a contract here. Okay? In fact, they could even sue him because depending on their contract negotiations before the first one even produced, that was the agreement, right? So, what happens? Joker 2 gets made. Half wing and a prayer, it goes to the cinemas, and problem is, when you get to the cinemas, it's all about the opening weekend, lads. Once the movie hits the cinema, opening weekend, the production company get 90% of the revenue, and the cinema get 10% of the revenue for the opening weekend. Soon as Monday morning kicks in, the cinema get 90% of the money, and the production company get 10. Now, when I say when Monday morning kicks in, that's the Monday just after the opening weekend. So that's why you always see there's loads of ads around. Huge hype before the opening weekend, right? Go to the cinema this weekend, Friday, Thursday, or even Thursday night at 12:01. That's another big one because that's technically Friday, right? You know, as in Thursday night, 12 o'clock. Then all of a sudden, you get to 12:01. Now it's Friday. It's technically Friday, so this is a way to just push like crazy and get more revenue in for that weekend. And that's exactly what happened here, lads. They didn't even bother refining the story, delivering a sequel with the same depth as the first. They didn't need to. Not in their eyes. They just needed the momentum from Joker 1 carried through, get in Lady Gaga, and hey, lads, we've got the money coming in now. Opening weekend numbers would look stellar, or so they thought. And let's look at it. It was a total flop. Complete and utter flop. Now, it's kind of surprising too, lads, because Joker 1 was so big, even though the trailers, they didn't look very good, but you still wouldn't think it made such a mess. I mean, such a mess. It was insane. Hard to know of the actual numbers, guys, but they haven't made their money. They've lost money here. Millions and millions. There's stories if they've lost 400 million and 200 million, or they've lost only 50 million. It's hard to know. But one thing is for sure. They did not make the money they wanted. Really, guys, you know, it's disappointing. The audience, they felt cheated. The reviews are just nuts. They're insane. And it showed in the box office numbers anyway. Joker 2, it could have made money if they put a right script together. Didn't have Lady Gaga. Was there any need? I mean, did we really need to have another actor on board, you know? Did we really need to have Harley Quinn? Really? I mean, Joaquin Phoenix was good enough. Refine the script, go in deeper maybe. Maybe something from his past comes back. Maybe even introduce Batman. Maybe that would have been a good one. And I'm not saying anything bad about women actresses here. Of course not. This is just about the script, the depth of the DC Batman Joker universe, you know? DC universe. But maybe there's a lesson here, lads, you know? And I think we can all relate to this. You know, you start to throw something together half-assed and people can see through you. They're not going to give you a second chance. You can only trick them once. Anyway, enough said, lads.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh. Lads, let's look at Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari in 2025. It's the kind of headlines that just electrifies the world, especially the Italian public. People are convinced this is going to seal his legacy. He will be officially the greatest that's ever walked the earth in Formula 1. Now, he dominated the sport when he was at Mercedes. The excitement's palpable. You can understand why people are getting carried away. But if you know the politics, lads, I mean, Hamilton fans are always predicting a new era of outright wins here. There's something everyone's missing here, and it could completely flip the script. You see, this is Ferrari we're talking about here, lads. Ferrari doesn't operate like other teams. They don't have a number one driver. They used to when Schumacher put on those overalls. He was God to Ferrari. But since Schumacher, it's not happened, lads. Look at Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion in Red Bull. He goes to Ferrari. He didn't have the attention that he got at Red Bull. Now, Mercedes was the undisputed star. The team shaped around him, giving him every advantage, lads. Ferrari doesn't bow to one person. Hamilton may be an icon, so people think. But if he thinks he's going to get the same treatment, he's going to be in for a rude awakening. Now, let's rewind a little bit. Hamilton was the heart and soul of the team at Mercedes. They gave him everything. The car, the strategy, the dynamic. Everything was designed for him to succeed. You better believe it, lads. He thrived under their system, but Ferrari isn't Mercedes. This is a team with legacy that sees themselves bigger than any driver out there. Bar Schumacher, you could debate me on that one. Now, to Ferrari, the prancing horse is the star. Not the person behind the wheel, it's the brand, it's the team, it's the history, it's all of the above. Yes, they've had legends drive for them, yes. But they've never built their team around a single driver the way Mercedes has for Hamilton. I mean, let's look at Niki Lauda, okay? 3-time world champion, he was with Ferrari. They wanted to give him the boot because he talked bad about the car. And he didn't even really talk bad about the car. They just had a no BS approach. And hey, you say one bad negative thing about the car, you're outdone. Good luck, buddy. I mean, Jesus. Now imagine Hamilton walking into that dynamic here, lads. Used to been treated like royalty. The fans are getting mental. They're going crazy already. The media's hyping. It's the dream move. But under the surface, the tension is already... It's getting hot and bothered here, lads. It's getting hot and bothered. Ferrari's not going to give him the carte blanche. They're just not. And if he doesn't align with their values or tries to demand too much control, they're going to move on or give him the boot, just like they have with other great drivers in the past. Hamilton may bring his undeniable talents, but Ferrari is not Mercedes. They won't cater to his every need. They're just not. The real question is, will Hamilton adapt? Or will Ferrari's vulnerable undersurface be his undoing? Because he might be thinking he's about to enter a new golden era here, lads. But if he doesn't behave like a good soldier, Ferrari won't hesitate to put the team first. You mark my words. The first time he demands a strategy tweak or questions their approach and they don't fold like Mercedes would have, will he still have that fire in his belly to push through? Because Ferrari won't change for anyone, not even Lewis Hamilton. If he doesn't get the attention that he's used to at Mercedes, lads, we might see a very, very different Lewis Hamilton indeed. I mean, he could still win races, there's no doubt, but to dominate? That's a big question. Now, if Ferrari have anything to say about it, because it's down to them at the end of the day. Now, the fans might not see this coming, but the real challenge for Hamilton won't be on track. It'll be off track. And how well he fits into Ferrari's unwavering philosophy, that will decide everything. The bottom line, this move isn't the sure thing fairy tales everyone expecting. If Hamilton doesn't play by Ferrari's rules, the outcome might be more complicated than anyone thinks.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.